Cherry Falls is a 1999 slasher movie that, believe it or not, I hadn't seen yet until just last night. So we're gonna do a little review for it today. Let's get into it.
Certain rules. Push the laws and you end up dead.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life.
Not in my movie.
Surprise, Sydney.
He's gone mad.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
A very simple formula.
You want to play psycho killer?
Everybody's a suspect.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
I'll be right back.
Okay, I think it's gonna go something like this.
So Cherry Falls is one of those movies that people have been telling me for a while that I need to watch. I'm honestly surprised that I've never seen it before because slasher movies are my favorite genre of horror movies, especially ones from the late 90s, early 2000s. Those are my absolute favorite. So I finally got around to watching it, and I will say that I did enjoy this movie, even though it was not the best movie I've ever seen. So let's get into some of my thoughts on this movie. It's safe to say there will be spoilers in this video, so if you've never seen Cherry Falls and you don't want to be spoiled, this is not the video for you, but it's been out for about 25 years, so let's talk about it. It takes place in a small town in Virginia, and there is a killer going around targeting teenage virgins, which is kind of creative in my opinion. It's the opposite of what we know from typical horror movies. You know, Randy Meeks in Scream lets us know that if you have sex, you die. So I thought this was an interesting plot point. The movie stars Brittany Murphy, who I love. Rest in peace. She was taken from us far too soon. The movie opens up with a teenage couple hooking up in a car. Both of them are virgins, and the killer gets to them before they could do it. Jesse Bradford is in this opening scene, and I know him from Bring It On, the cheerleading movie, which is one of my favorite movies. Brittany Murphy's character, Jody, her father is the sheriff in this small town, and once he discovers kind of what the motive is for the killer going after virgins, he's concerned for his daughter because she is one as well. She has yet to sleep with her boyfriend Kenny, and they kind of break up in the beginning of the movie. So once word gets out in the town what the motive is of this killer, everyone starts freaking out, and all the teens in this high school plan this party where everyone plans to lose their virginity. Now, this movie is right up my alley because, like I said, I love slashers in the late 90s, and I love when it takes place in high school with teens partying. So I liked that aspect of it, but I will say I wish that they developed these characters a little more. I don't think that they spent enough time on the friend group. I love when we really get to spend time with the characters and get to know them and really grow to care about them and care whether they live or die. I don't think this movie did a great job of that. They did a better job than some other movies, but still, there weren't enough scenes with all of the kids, in my opinion. Also, the acting in this movie, I thought was very funny. It was by no means the best acting I've ever seen. It was actually pretty bad, and it genuinely made me laugh throughout the entire movie, which I'm not sure if that was their goal. I don't know if we were supposed to take this movie seriously or if it was supposed to make you laugh, but I found this movie a lot funnier than most comedies that come out today. I also have to say, I knew who the killer was and what the twist was halfway through the movie. So it is a bummer that I figured it out because, of course, I like to be surprised at the end, which I wasn't. I totally guessed who the killer was and their motive and everything. So even though that's a bummer, still kind of good in a sense, because that means that it made sense. You know, it wasn't just some random person who had no connection to the story, where the motive didn't make sense. So I'm kind of torn on how I feel about me guessing who the killer was. I want to be surprised, but I also want it to make sense, which it did. The killer ended up being Jodi's teacher, Mr. Marliston, who was the child of this girl who was assaulted back in the day, Laura Lee Sherman. I also knew from the opening scene that this was a man dressed as a woman. That was pretty obvious to me from the opening scene. At first, I did suspect Timmy, Jodi's best friend, because he was wearing nail polish, and we know that the killer was also wearing nail polish. So I was a little suspicious of him at first. Of course, he got killed. And then also when Jodi was talking to Mr. Marliston, someone was kind of creeping on them, and we got a glimpse of their boots. And then later on, we see that Kenny, her boyfriend, was wearing those boots. But then I quickly realized, like, he was probably just spying on them, which was in fact the case. Kenny obviously wasn't the killer. I was briefly suspicious of the female cop. I don't remember her name, but she was kind of suspicious in several scenes. But like I said, I knew it was going to be a man, and I pretty much was also suspicious of Mr. Marliston from that first scene when he is alone with Jodi, because he was acting very nervous when they realized that someone was kind of creeping on them. So that was the first moment that I was suspicious of him, which was pretty early on in the movie. But then once I realized what Jodi's father was guilty of back in high school with his friends, assaulting Laura Lee Sherman, I put it together very quickly. I said to myself, oh, she probably got pregnant, had a kid. The kid is the killer now. And you know, they said it happened in high school about 27 years ago. And I quickly realized that Mr. Marliston was probably around that age, late 20s. So I watched the movie last night, and when I was thinking about it today to film my review right now, I was thinking it would have been cool if there was a second killer to kind of throw us off, surprise us. And what if it was the female cop, who I was suspicious of at times? What if she was a twin of Mr. Marliston? Laura Lee Sherman got pregnant and gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. And Marliston reveals himself. We think he's the killer. But then there ends up being a second one, just like in Scream, you know? At the time, that was like a great twist. No one expected there to be a second killer in Scream. I guess maybe they didn't want to copy that so soon after Scream. This was only 3 years later. But for me, it would have been a good twist because, like I said, I guessed who the killer was very early on. Now, of course, Jodi's father, the sheriff, dies, which is sad, but I'm kind of torn on how I feel about him. Like, obviously what he did in high school was terrible, but he almost makes it seem like his friends forced him into it. But I don't know. How could you perform, if you know what I mean? If you were super wasted, like you said, and if you were horrified that you had to do this to this girl, how could you perform? I'm trying to be careful of how I word things because I don't want the wrath of YouTube. I mean, the dad does say, I knew what I was doing. I don't like that he remained friends with Sizzler all these years, the principal of Jodi's high school, who also was responsible for what happened to Laura Lee Sherman. If Jodi's father truly was against what happened and like repulsed by it, he would have either moved out of town or turned in his friends or just never talked to Sizzler again. The fact that he's like friendly with Sizzler, I don't like that. I think Jodi's dad is guilty and a scumbag. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of satisfying that justice was served in a way with him dying. And then at the end of the movie, the cops ask Jody and her mom, like, you sure you don't have anything else to tell us about why this guy was the killer? And they keep quiet. They don't say anything about Jody's dad because I guess, you know, he's dead now, but they want to keep his reputation clean, which is kind of messed up in my opinion. I kind of feel like Laura Lee Sherman deserves some kind of justice, and the rest of the people who attacked her should suffer some consequences. Also, is Laura Lee Sherman still alive? They never really say it, but we also have no reason to believe that she's dead. And if you remember, when Jody's father, the sheriff, goes to West Virginia to check out that house and goes inside and sees like the baby crib and everything, and he leaves the house, there's someone inside who is watching him but chooses not to kill him. Was that Mr. Marliston? But why would he be in West Virginia? So was that actually Laura Lee Sherman hiding out at the house? And then at the end of the movie, there's someone who appears to be watching Jody, but then disappears quickly when like a car drives by. Was that Laura Lee? I don't know. What do you guys think? If you've seen this movie, let me know. Do you think Laura Lee Sherman was still alive in the movie? Also, I think Kenny, Jody's boyfriend, lived in the end. He was attacked. He got like slashed in the house at the party. I'm not 100% sure if he lived or not. He got slashed. I couldn't tell at first if it was in like his throat or his stomach. I kind of feel like it was his stomach because he got slashed on the staircase, and then at the end, Jody kind of goes out onto the balcony of the house, and Kenny comes outside, and they kiss, and then the movie ends. So I think Kenny survived, which I'm happy about. I liked him. But yeah, final thoughts. I enjoyed the movie. I think it was a little bit more on the comical side. Again, I don't know if that was their intention, but the movie did make me laugh a lot. But I loved Brittany Murphy in this. I liked the motive. I do think the acting was really funny. If I had to rate this movie out of 10, I would probably give it like a 6. I definitely recommend you watch this movie if you have not done so already. Like I said, it's a fun slasher, late 90s, my type of movie. So if you're into that and you have not seen it yet, definitely check it out. But that's it for today. That is my review of Cherry Falls. As you can see, my setup is a little different right now. I'm just playing around with things, getting ready for the Halloween season. So you might see some different angles, different things hanging up behind me. I'm super excited for the Halloween season. I have a lot of fun things planned, so stay tuned. Things are gonna be a lot of fun this Halloween season. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Please follow me on all other social media, and I will see you guys next time.